So we're on the Temple Mount today, and we feel very privileged because it's always a privilege to be in the holiest place on earth, to be seen here by God. But today is a very special day. Today is the 6th day of Cheshvan, 5771. It is the 835th anniversary of the very day that the great scholar Rabbi Moshe ben Maimonides made a pilgrimage to the Temple Mount. And he writes in his own words, in very moving letters, his feelings about this trip that he took and the circumstances, which were very dangerous, that really placed him in a great deal of personal peril because of the whole idea of the Crusaders that were at that time sovereign over the land of Israel and the tremendous danger that Jews were in. Nonetheless, he made his pilgrimage from North Africa to the land of Israel. He docked in Akko and traveled to Jerusalem and was so moved to be here on the Temple Mount that he writes that he had the privilege of entering into the great and holy house, Habayit Hagadol v'Hakadosh. And that is an expression that our sages use about the Holy Temple. And that doesn't mean that he entered into any structure. We know exactly where he went, and he traced the same path that we're going to trace this morning. But it's very beautiful because he actually opines that the entire Temple Mount complex is still considered like the Temple Mount, and that when we make a pilgrimage today to the Temple Mount, we are as they were in the days of the Olei Regel. We're like the pilgrims that come to the Holy Temple. So he writes about how moved he was to be here, and he prayed here. And he was so totally transfigured by the experience that changed his whole life that he actually left instructions to his descendants for all time in a will that all his children until the end of time should always mark this day, the 6th day of the month of Cheshvan, as a day of personal rejoicing, festivity, Sudat Mitzvah, a special meal in thanksgiving to Hashem for allowing him the great privilege of coming to the Temple Mount. And it's interesting to note that 10 years later, he wrote his classic magnum opus, the Mishnah Torah, all of the halachot of the Torah, and there in Hilchot Beit HaBechira, in the laws pertaining to the Holy Temple, he writes about how it is a mitzvah, it is a positive commandment to show reverence for the Temple Mount by coming to the Temple Mount and acting in a certain way. And it's very ironic because today many people think that the mitzvah, the commandment of Mora Mikdash, of showing proper reverence for the Temple Mount, means that you don't come to the Temple Mount. And he explains, no, that the commandment of showing proper reverence to the Temple Mount means to come to the Temple Mount and to act with great respect, and to walk a certain way, and to talk a certain way, and to conduct oneself in a certain way. And he's actually writing that based on his own personal experience, and he's explaining how he conducted himself today, this very day, the 6th day of Cheshvan, exactly 835 years ago today. The great Rambam came to the Temple Mount, and he considered it to be a watershed event in his life, a life-changing experience. So how much more so can we realize what a tremendous privilege it is for us that we don't have the exact same difficulties as the Rambam. I admit it wasn't so easy getting up here this morning, but it wasn't exactly life-threatening as it was in the days of Maimonides. And so he is really a beacon for our path when we realize how much of a tremendous privilege and honor and obligation it is for us to come to the Holy Temple site, to be seen here by God in the holiest place on earth, and to try and feel what it's like to be in the environs of the Holy Temple, and of course to try and utter a prayer from the depths of our heart, and hopefully from our lips as well, to be seen here by God, the greatest privilege that a human being can have.